Sweet.
Well, thanks for coming on my show. I appreciate you, Mr. Calvin, and you're a film director and an actor. And
Yes.
I noticed you recently just did you directed the film, came out, and it's called The Pillow Party Massacre. And
Yeah.
and I noticed like you've done so many other work and as well as your acting career. So let's start off with your most recent with the Pillow Party Massacre. And what is you can give a brief detail, what is that about and where was it filmed at?
Yeah. Pillow Party is the most recent that's been released. It's kind of your callback to, your good old like slasher movie from the 80s. I've been a horror movie fan my whole life, and have always wanted to do an 80s slasher film, not anything that's, super reinventing the wheel. I just wanted to add to, that kind of catalog of those 80s massacre movies. It's about a group of girls in high school at their spring fling dance, and they play a prank on one of their friends that goes horribly wrong, and she ends up shooting up the dance and going to prison, obviously, and being in an insane asylum. And years later, when the girls decide to reconnect, because after this trauma, they haven't seen each other for so long, one by one, characters start to get killed off by a masked killer out in the woods at this vacation home. And it's, about, struggle for survival and also trying to figure out who it is that's taking revenge on all of them. Very
Right.
like
So it's kind of like I Know What You Did in the last summer movie.
very, very, very much, and it's funny because I think that there's like a lot. Uh, I've had that pointed out. People are like, oh, it's very much like you're trying to do like a Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is funny. It totally is. It's probably in there
So
subconsciously.
what in your mind as a film director, what made you decide to do this film, to make this film?
Yeah, I've been working with Breaking Glass Pictures for a while now.
Hmm.
They've been giving me, budgets, low budgets, but budgets to, kind of beef up their horror line.
Hmm.
And I had done a couple of more paranormal movies for them, which is what I typically like to make. And to be honest, I had always thrown around this idea of doing a slasher and wanting to do kind
Hmm.
of like an 80s
So,
style.
pardon,
So
I'm sorry. Is this your first time doing a slasher movie?
it's sort of, yeah, I mean, other than back when I was like just trying to figure out how to make a movie, I made one. But yeah, this was the first time that I ever did a real slasher movie with some money and real actors. Yeah.
It's amazing. I haven't seen, of course, so but I love slasher movie. It's the horror movie's amazing and the graphics in every horror movie is amazing. So um now where was it filmed at? Was it filmed in California? Did you go out of state? What was the
No, I'm Northwest based, and I'm always trying to rep the Northwest. I also don't get enough money to really travel too far outside of it, but we do go all over the Northwest.
Mhm.
Part of it was we shot for 5 days in Seattle, Washington, and then the bulk of the movie was shot in Mount Hood, Oregon, right at the base of Mount Hood.
Wow. And how did you find these other actresses? Did you put auditions out or
I because I'm an actor and I've been working in Portland for a very long time and kind of the Seattle market as well. A lot of times, what I end up doing, especially with these budgets, is I try to give consistent work to good actors who I've worked with for a very long time. So there was a little bit of an audition process, but I sort of already knew in my mind who I thought would be good for the roles. I sort of almost wrote it specifically for certain actors. There were a few that were cast through auditions, but the audition process was very easy. It was very, very easy.
And again, I'm so proud of you on your recent film. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And where can people go watch it?
Yeah, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Vudu, I believe. Um, it's going to be available on Tubi soon. Actually, funny enough, um, Breaking Glass sells to foreign markets, and they dub the films. So on Tubi, you can already watch the Spanish dubbed version
Mhm.
of Pillow Party Massacre. But I think it's on Vimeo, Amazon, a few other places. I think you can buy it on YouTube as well. And then soon it should be coming to Tubi, and I believe eventually it's gonna get a physical media release.
Wow, I can't wait to watch it. And again, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And so, do you have any other upcoming projects you have in mind that you're going to direct?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we've been working really fast with Breaking Glass, and it's a little bit out of probably fear and needing to eat, It's like they'll kind of come back and say, "You got something else?" We'll say, "Yeah, totally." Um, we've got a movie that's coming out in September. Actually, the trailer for it just dropped. Um, it's called The Insidious Inferno.
Mhm.
That will be out in September. Like I said, trailer just dropped yesterday, so people can go check that out. And then currently, right now, we're in production on a movie, actually on a boogeyman movie that's really fun. Doing like an old monster movie, which is really like my bread and butter is to do monster films. And then I also was working with Breaking Glass to produce a movie. So there's a movie that I produced and I actually act in called The Outer Darkness that should come out. Um, I would think around the first of the year.
Mhm.
That one's currently in post, and it's a sci-fi film actually.
And so, are you a big sci-fi thrasher film director person?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's all. That's what I like to watch already. I'm a fan first of horror movies, and yeah, when I make the movies, I'm not even necessarily saying I'm like the best filmmaker. I just love horror movies, and I just want to contribute to sci-fi and horror.
Mhm.
You know.
Now, while you were growing up, did you always had a passion to be a film director, or did you just grow up first to be a passion to be an actor? Which one of those came first?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I'd always loved horror movies and monster movies, but I never really thought of that as an actual thing. I really thought that maybe I would be a writer when I was young, and it wasn't until high school where I was playing sports, and kind of just wanted something else to do, and I actually went to a high school play my freshman year, and kind of thought, I bet I could do that. I bet I might be pretty good at that. And then I got the bug. I just started doing high school theater and really became an actor, and still didn't think I could make my own movies. But here in the Northwest, there's a pretty small market. It's obviously not like LA. And there just weren't, there were a lot of films being made, and there were a lot of things that I was having fun with, but there weren't any horror movies. So it
Hmm.
wasn't until I was like 19, 20 that I started thinking I should figure out how to make my own movie. And it took years to really figure it out, but I just didn't stop. So no, I kind of just went from a fan to, oh, maybe I can act, to, well, let me start making movies. It was never I never had a clear uh idea of what I wanted.
Right. Well, I was noticing because on your IMDb page, you have a lot of work that you have done. And and stuff that you also been in as an actor.
Yeah.
And so from that, from what age did you actually start acting?
I was 15 when I started doing high school theater, but when I was 16, I started going out for movies. I didn't have an agent. I was just kind of like hunting for stuff on Craigslist and Facebook, and I ended up getting the lead role in a feature film that was shot when I was 16 called The Adults in the Room. And that, that's just kind of how it started. I was a teenager. I was doing it mostly in like the summer after
Hmm.
school. But like my first day of senior year, um, I had just come off of a film set, and it was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing in the world because it's like you go from being an actor who's kind of pampered, or especially as a teenager, everybody's super nice to you, and then you immediately start high school, and nobody could care less who you are, right? It was very
Right,
wild.
right. I totally understand. So which one do you like the most, theater or acting in front of the camera?
Um, Gosh, they're so different. I used to still do a lot of theater. I would still do it. It got weird since COVID. Um, I don't know. I think maybe I enjoy my time on the stage more. Just because it's like a rush. It's like playing live. It must be what it's like to be a musician,
Mhm.
to be on stage, and you got one go at this. Whereas film, there's a lot of waiting around. It takes time. You take time to get things right,
Right.
um, which is maybe a little more tedious.
And what is where do you correction, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, well, what I would hope is to maybe build up just like a little cult following. I think it would be awesome to have like this little group of horror fans or independent film fans, um, who really like the movies, who get something out of it. I have no delusions that like my little 35,000, $40,000 movies are gonna compete with any in any big way. But I do think that there's a way into getting like a little cult
Hmm.
following of people. And that would be my goal. I mean, obviously I also want to, be financially secure and, probably married in 5 years, you know, all that stuff. But, I'd like to keep pumping these out and to hopefully get a couple that really catch people's attention.
Hmm. And what is your short-term and long-term goal as yourself as a film director?
Yeah, I think in the short term, it's just to get better constantly. With every movie, you get better, you learn something new. There's always little mistakes. And in the last movie that'll be coming out in September, I really had these specific lighting ideas that I wanted to do, and I realized that like accenting a red with a little bit of orange would have been a smarter move. And then you go, okay, I'm gonna remember that for next time. Um, so in the short term, I think just getting better. In the
Hmm.
long term, like I said, I would like to build up hopefully a nice beefy body of work that at least a small group of people kind of learn to enjoy, or come to enjoy. As a horror fan, I like a lot of really obscure horror movie directors, and you're like in these little groups of like devotees to these
Right.
these certain directors. And it's kind of cool because you feel like, oh, we're the only ones who know about this. We're like in this little club almost. My dream would be to be one of those directors, is that they're like just a small group of people who are like, oh, see, nobody else knows about these movies. That's my goal.
Well, I hope you achieve those goals. Amazing.
Thank you.
You're
Me too.
welcome. Now, as an actor, what is your what's your greatest strength?
I think um I'm not nervous. I'm not afraid of looking dumb or going really over the top. You never have to ask me to go further. If anything, I think that people have to tell me to pull myself back. And if people don't do that, I'll end up going way over the top with something and almost being comedic. But I always approach roles. I think especially like roles that are like angry or anything like that. Like I'll go, 100 miles an hour at it, and so yeah, I think my biggest thing is you never have to ask me to like open up more. I'm kind of willing to do anything. Um, so I think that's maybe my strongest suit.
That's actually a really good testimony, that be more outgoing, and don't be nervous in the film industry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as a male actor, there's some roles that I've done um, that require nudity, and I'll do that as well, just because like I'm kind of willing to just put myself out there. Stage is very much the same way. Stage. It's a lot of plays where you're required to do nudity, and there's just kind of a lot of aspects I think as an actor that I'm not I probably wouldn't ever say, oh, I won't do that unless it's dangerous. I'm pretty much willing to do whatever and give anything a chance. Um, and I know that there are some actors have trouble like coming out of their shell, or they'll be nervous that they're gonna like go for it in an angry scene or something and maybe look dumb. I don't care about looking dumb at all. you know
Right, I totally understand. Um, you know, yeah, what is your advice for someone who wants to get into acting?
Getting into acting, just just doing it, just kind of going on Facebook, being very resourceful and finding stuff, and you're gonna have to do a lot of little things and probably some free things to build up a resume. But in my opinion, I think it's all about having a body of work, something that you can point to, some experience. I've also said that a lot of people have to work a day job. The day job that I enjoyed at the time working was like in sales or even cold calling on the phone, because
Hmm.
that forces you to talk to people, to use your voice, to kind of put on an act, and then also it just do a YouTube channel. I would do that when acting gigs were drying up.
Hmm.
I did a YouTube channel where I would review movies, and it's like just keep yourself in front of the camera. Don't let people forget that you exist. Just kind of constantly put yourself out there and take as much stuff as you can. And I think that good things will happen as long as you have just this consistent body of work. I think the worst thing that can happen is people don't see you for a while, and then
Hmm.
maybe they think that you've quit.
And that's 100% true. You got to keep your content out there. Let
Yeah.
people know you're still there, you're still doing your thing, and that's how you get your name out there,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the word of mouth. Do you have any interesting or funny stories behind the scenes?
Yeah, and these shoots are so crazy because we have such a little amount of time that sometimes hard to remember because it just becomes like a blur. But yeah, I mean, on Pillow Party, those days in Seattle, for whatever reason, there was like this miscommunication on how many people we had with us traveling up to Seattle. And like we always stay on set together. We always just get a big Airbnb, and cast and crew just like lives together for, however many days. And that first 3 or 4 days in Seattle, we ended up booking this Airbnb that was way too small. It had like 3 bedrooms, but I think at one point we had like 10 people, and people were just like sleeping on the floor. I remember our sound guy like blew up an air mattress and he slept in the kitchen, like on the kitchen floor. And we couldn't get the air conditioner to work. And it was the middle of summer, it was hot, and it was just miserable living in this house for 3 days with all these people crammed in there. And by the time we got to Mount Hood, where we had like a bigger house, it was like, we could actually relax and we could actually cook. There was just so many people in there, like we couldn't even like cook. We were like hungry the whole time. It was that was pretty miserable in Seattle, and everybody still references it. It was really tough. Um, yeah, that's a big one that kind of comes to mind.
Wow. That is very funny how you're all in the small little area.
Yeah, just the tiniest little place. And we were filming down the street at this school for the dance scene, and we would wrap late too. So it's like nobody felt like going to the store or anything. And we'd come back to this little cramped Airbnb with like barely any food. It was rough, and it was a rough way to start it off too. I was kind of afraid that the actresses especially were going to say like, is the whole shoot going to be like this? I felt bad. I felt like I had to constantly keep saying, no, this is going to get better. It's going to get better.
Well, it is funny, but not funny. You want to keep
Yeah.
everybody comfortable. You want to make the fun.
It's funny after the fact. In the moment, it's terrifying, for something like that to happen, or if people are getting like exhausted. It's always funny later, but there are certainly days where we'll be pushing and pushing, and it's like
Hmm.
a 12-hour day, and people are really, really tired. And in the moment, you feel really bad. And then later we all kind of laugh about it, which is good. I guess it's because we're all really friends, especially the crew. So
That's good. And that's the one thing
yeah,
you love about film set is like all the actors get along and become
yeah,
family and all that stuff. So
yeah. There's just always like a lot of fun that goes into it. It's really like going to a summer camp or something, and making the film is just that like summer camp
mhm.
activity that we do.
And that's true. 100%, you know. And it's just like it's so interesting the entertainment industry, we become family and friends.
Yeah, they're really like especially since how busy we've been for the past 2.5 years now. They're kind of like the only friends that I have. My work friends are my best friends by far and away, because those are the people that I see the most. And then when we do these films, we're living together for a very long time. We're like roommates.
Right.
So you really yeah, you really get close to people. And then after work, people will have a drink together, or we'll sit
Hmm.
out like on the porch together. And it's yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of bonding experiences for sure. And a lot of people, I think, that end up making, I think especially the actors end up making lifelong friendships with each other that they might not otherwise have had. They
Right.
some of when some of the actresses are from Seattle, or we do have a couple actresses from Los Angeles who come up. Um, you know, these actors would like never meet unless they met on that set, and now they're
That's
friends.
that's the thing I was gonna say. We all no, like, I mean I said we all, but it's true that we all communicate become friends on set only way.
Yeah,
That's the only way you and it's amazing. Like you may be on set for like how many weeks and you become family.
yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. It's a really
It
beautiful
is.
thing.
And that's the unique. And it's a support, a way of support.
Yeah. Oh
Support
yeah.
each other. So but yeah, and everything's kind of, I'll bring it up. Everything's kind of on pause. It's
Yeah, it for us, we had already had this film that we were doing was already greenlit and the money had already come through, and it just so happens that, and nobody's on it is union. So we were able, to because everything was set up and then the strike happened, and the distribution company and us were kind of like, well, it makes sense to, go through with this movie since we don't have any union cast or anything. But yeah, it's scary. It's scary to look at what might happen afterwards.
yeah, and
And
it doesn't matter for union or not.
yeah,
This is a big thing.
yeah,
We support. This is we're family.
right, yeah,
And so I totally understand. I am pro SAG. I support
yeah.
the SAG, and I support the independent
Oh, for
filmmakers.
sure.
And but we are all together,
It's
and we're
it it's only good for everybody that
yeah.
a logical agreement will be come to, and I think that there will be sooner rather than
And I
later.
hope so.
I really do.
Yeah, and that's why we gotta raise our voice. We gotta
Yeah.
fight.
And
And
yeah, I think that there really will be, because I think that I know that I think I saw that Blumhouse, which is kind of a smaller studio, but still big, making like $1 million movies.
mhm.
I know that they had reached some sort of agreement, even though I don't think they work necessarily directly with SAG, but they came up with agreements for their actors, and they've already began to start resuming. And I think that those are like indications of the dominoes falling. That I think that an agreement is going to be reached pretty soon. At least that's me being hopeful.
Yeah,
I
we gotta be hopeful. We gotta keep fighting, keep what we're doing. That's the
Yeah,
thing. So, but I do appreciate you coming on my show.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome, and you're always welcome back on my show.
Yeah, I'd love to, especially when the next movie comes out, or if there's any sort of like topic or anything, you ever want to have me on, I would love to be on.
Well,
I
thank
really
you. I
appreciate it.
I would I would love to have you back on.
Yeah.
And I would love to have the cast members that was on your recent film on my show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that
um I'd love to do that.
yeah. Oh, they would love that. I'll definitely pass it along.
Yes, please do. And like I said, I haven't seen the film yet, but I want to see it. And you're I support everybody in this entertainment industry,
Yeah.
SAG or union or not. But
Right. From the little
we're
guys to the big guys,
right.
we're
We're all
all
in
in it.
this together.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And for anyone that's listening, we have a bunch of movies that have come out over the last 2 years. All of them are on Tubi, so check out Haunting in Ravenwood and Conjuring the Beyond, and some of those other movies. You just put my name in there, and there's I think like 6 or 7 movies that we've done. So yeah, please do, and
Fun.
follow Seventh Street Productions. Follow me and keep up with what we're doing.
Yes, please do. And please come back on my show.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, you have a good one, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye bye.